Welcome to the South Coast Artist Index Gallery X Documentation Project Series, hosted by Sean FitzGerald. The project is the first phase of an agenda to scan Gallery X's entire collection of documents, including news clippings, posters, flyers, photographs, and more. The scans will be archived and later mined for information specific to the artists who have had their work exhibited or who have performed at the city's oldest continually operating cooperative art gallery. Join Sean and his guests as they discuss the project and the history of Gallery X, its visual, performing, and literary artist members and volunteers.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the South Coast Artist Index Gallery X Documentation Project. I am your host, Sean FitzGerald, and it gives me great pleasure to have two guests in the studio today to speak with us about the famed Gallery X. I'm going to turn the microphones over to them at this time and let them introduce themselves. If you would, please.
Hi, I'm Susan Hauck.
And Sue, what's your affiliation with the gallery?
I was a member starting in 2008 at Gallery X. In 2009, I became one of 3 directors, and then it came down to, I believe, in 1 year, one director being me. Mm-hmm. I kind of got thrown into that fire into the frying pan, or vice versa.
Trial by fire.
Oh, yeah. And it was a tough job. I lasted 10 years, unfortunately. It wasn't a good fit. I wasn't very, let's say, good at the job. I tried my darndest, but there are people that can do a job like that much better than I could. And fortunately, we have Zach now. He's phenomenal. But I held my own for 10 years with the help of the Gallery X members. And like I say, I stayed for 10 years, but my health started to falter, and I left the position. I still do my work with Gallery X as far as artwork, and I love the gallery. But that's about it with me. I'm kind of like a silent partner with Gallery X now.
Yeah, but your influence is still very strong.
I hope so.
Oh, for sure.
I hope so.
Everyone who's had contact with you, which is pretty much anyone who's walked through those doors, you have definitely left an impression. And Christine and I wouldn't still be involved if it wasn't for you.
That's
and
nice
Chuck
to
also.
hear.
But
it's very nice to hear.
No, because it's intimidating. Whenever you speak to anyone who wants to join a gallery or is even thinking about art, it's intimidating on so many levels. Showing your work, going and trying to join a membership. And you guys both welcomed us with open arms, and we'll never forget that.
Well, that's one of the things when I was the director that I really enjoyed was when people came in while I was there during the day, and they wanted to know about the gallery or they wanted to become a member. I really enjoyed welcoming them. I enjoyed that so much, and explaining the gallery to them, the warmth that they felt, they gave back to me, and they told me that they felt welcomed. And it helped a lot. It helped people to really want to come back, and it helped the gallery to, it gave the gallery what it really was, the warmth.
It gave it warmth, yeah. Give it. I mean, personality is almost too generic of a word, but it gave it soul and warmth for sure, right? And, and you said at the beginning that you didn't think you did quite as good of a job. You have Zach, and Zach is excellent in what he did, but what you did do, establishing that warmth and that rapport, it's something that just. It's galactic on, galactic proportions.
Thank you. In some ways, I think I did a very good job, and in other ways, maybe not so much. I'm not one with the, ledgers and pens and papers and computers and all that. People, give me people.
You're a people person.
Yeah, I can dig that, but the other stuff, not so much.
You see that a lot, though. I mean, in productions, theater, you have a director, and an assistant director. The director is
Right.
the idea person, and the assistant gets all the ideas in order,
Right.
manages it, and so typically you need something like that. Those two separate parts of the brain.
Yeah, a good collaborative group.
Right.
That can take.
That's the gallery,
their
actually.
expertise is
Yeah, it really
in
is.
different fields.
And that other voice that we're hearing, it's not the voice of God. It is the one and only. Although he may be with us, or she may be with us, but would you mind introducing yourself there?
Yes, I'm Charles Hauck. I was one original founding member of Gallery X in 1990. I guess before Gallery X, I was involved with an art group, the Second Street Art Exchange, and we rented a third floor space behind Freestone on 2nd Street. And we were there about 7 years or so. The building was transformed into office space, so we were sort of forced out in 1980, 98 or so, or 88, and then I got involved with the Ernestina. The Ernestina was new to town, and they were trying to find ways to bring attention to it. And I had friends that raced wooden boats, classic wooden boats during the summer. And I said, well, geez, the way to bring people's attention to the Ernestina is to have a schooner race, where the people with these classic wooden boats would actually pay to come.
Mm-hmm.
And downtown New Bedford Inc. was just starting. They employed their first director, Emmy Hahn. I had written this proposal about the race, and it got to her hands. She was interested, and a friend of mine who I did a lot of work with had just become Commodore of the American Schooner Association, and he had always been saying there needs to be a race in Buzzards Bay. Mm-hmm. So we met with Emmy. She liked the idea. Mm-hmm. She was really fearless, ready to go with fight City Hall or anyone she could, and she, we met with the Ernestina people, and we had, before we knew it, we had the State Pier was available, and we had a classic wooden boat race with When and If, Spirit of Massachusetts, nice. Many of these ships. But part of that was Emmy said, well, the boat race is everything good, but she's like, you're not getting on one of those boats and going racing, and I'm running the special on shore. Downtown New Bedford Inc. is what I'm here for, so we need shore activities. And part of it, we had gotten grants where we had barrel makers, different people that did that kind of stuff, and we were looking for things we could do cheaply, and I said, well, I know a lot of artists, and if we could get a place, well, we could put together an art show, and she was able to talk to Mary Ann Hodgson, who had a space on Spring Street. Mm-hmm. Space was available. We got together 26 artists, had the first show the night of the race, and at the time, there really weren't any galleries downtown. There was the Bierstadt Gallery. They were a couple small rooms on Johnny Cake Hill. Mm-hmm. And the event was just, we were overwhelmed by how many people came, and they stayed. Mm-hmm. And they just hung around, okay, 10 o'clock, everyone should go home, but they just sort of stayed, and we were like, wow, New Bedford was ready for this.
Yeah.
And the core members in the show sort of met. Our original name was going to be the Spring Street Art Alliance, which sort of sounded a little teetotaler between us, and we figured, well, we're between the Criterion and the YW, even though it doesn't quite. We said, well, maybe we should call ourselves Gallery X. It was a little more up, than Spring Street Art Alliance, a lot less words to write.
Yeah.
And we took that name, and I think our original show was the first art raffle. We made enough money to pay 4 months worth of rent, and just we just started from there. Just started growing, and we were there for 5 years on Spring Street, and we eventually moved into the first Universalist Church, 1855 on William Street that we moved into, and as you well know, we've been restoring ever since. But we're glad to say that we're just about done with the restoration. Our next big thing is a new furnace, but we're close to paying off our mortgage and have the building just about restored. So we're really, really excited about this upcoming year, which is our 35th, the annual. Our next show is 35th annual public exhibition, and over the next year we're planning a capital campaign with a number of events, fun events, to raise some money and hopefully get enough for that new furnace and maybe even pay off our mortgage. At least that's, I think, pretty exciting to get all the building done, all painted, and then pay off the mortgage. That's a reason to party.
Yeah, and it's funny because when Zach was in here with us the other day, he mentioned how pre-pandemic there were a list of things that you guys wanted to get done, painting the exterior, and in the past you'd only been able to do one side at a time, really, depending on weather and conditions. But he commented on how in these past 4 years there's been a lot done that they were thinking it was going to take at least 10 years to get done. The steeple, the exterior of the painting, the windows. The
CPA, Community Preservation Act, really, really helped us immensely. And it was, we were all getting, the people that were doing the work, we were all getting older. It seems like the younger people aren't doing as much work as the older. But there are members coming in.
That's
and
usually
there's always
the way.
that. But,
Right. Yeah.
But I think we have so much vested interest in that we don't want to not do it. It's like it's
The ball's
fun.
rolling too at this point.
And it's great. Like we were talking about the new people coming that have never shown in a gallery before. They come in with their families and
give them a hug and
we're all
going.
about encouraging people to make art. No matter even if they're good or not, as long as they're getting better,
They'll get better.
and they're feeling better,
keep hugging
meeting
them,
other
letting them
artists,
know.
seeing what they're doing, and in a couple of years, their work is just. A countless number of people have been through our doors that come in. They were, okay, but when they were after a few years, their work just improved so much.
Oh, yeah.
And
They've surpassed
yeah.
many people.
And,
What do you think that is, Sue?
Confidence and love.
Yeah, huh?
Yeah.
I really think that they get that through the gallery.
They feel that confidence.
Right.
They feel the caring, and they feel like, wow, people believe in me, and
right.
They feel that camaraderie.
It's different than other galleries.
Yeah, they don't feel that competition.
I would much rather work with an artist who's working hard, is working with you to get this, to learning, hanging shows, than to work with established artists who drop their work off, who, complain about the lighting or whatever, and but not lift a hand. It's like, it doesn't. It's like as a member, we want people that are going to be there to help with gallery sitting or bringing things for the opening or just there's so much that we all do, we all share. It's great. I'm going to say this. I think Gallery X has the best hanging crew in the state.
Oh God, yeah.
Because we've hung so many shows that getting it from the floor to on the wall, we can send teams around, and with an hour we've got it done. Where I've worked at other galleries that hanging an art show can take days.
And I love their thing, mark it and park it.
Mark it and park it.
Nice.
And it always looks good. I've never seen a show. Well, I've seen some shows, but they're usually outside curators, and
Okay.
I've been a little, I've seen some shows that went up that I was like, what the hell? But for the most part, the Market and Parket, our hanging crew, Gallery X guys, I've never seen them go wrong.
Yeah, the efficiency, and you mentioned the speed in which it's done is phenomenal.
She comes home some nights, and I'm like, did you finish hanging the show? He's like, yeah, it's done.
268 pieces.
Couple teams. I mean,
It's
we
crazy.
basically, I think we all have the same method, that we do together, and we just sort of lay it out on the floor. And
None of you ever
Space it.
swore at each other or,
A little bit.
whip paintings at each other's heads? Nothing?
Through hammers.
Wow.
Well, I learned a lot doing that with you folks as far as hanging, and the experience alone helped me when Christine and I opened up our gallery. And one thing too, when you were talking about how people come through the doors and within a couple of years their work is much better.
Yes.
And one thing that I picked up on with Gallery X is the willingness for other artists to share their secrets, how they do things without hesitation. I mean, nobody's afraid, and that really, it just, everyone rises together, right? I mean,
art is not a race.
Right.
It's
Art is not a race.
I mean,
we're-
Christine can do her art one way, and I can do mine another way. And one of us can ask the other, but it's never, however Christine does hers, she can show me how, but I'm never going to make mine look like hers because I'm not her.
Yeah,
You
very
know,
true.
It's a wonderful thing. A technique is a technique, but it's never going to be the same when two different people do it.
And I think
You should just never be afraid of that. And people they're so selfish and clingy to their own thing. It's just, it doesn't pay.
Yeah.
You just gotta let loose.
And with our
Live.
schedule,
Yeah, huh?
with monthly shows and 2 galleries, there's really no downtime. So it's like, okay, one show's up, and before you know it, there's the next show's stepping up. So it's like, it keeps you busy. It's
does,
like,
huh?
a lot of people need that
Right.
that assignment. It's
Yeah,
like
it's
in
just-
school, you had to have this done, this assignment. And if you don't have that, it's like, you kind of put it off. But when you've got a deadline staring you, I want to be in that show.
Right.
It does help.
That gets you working. And I mean, I know it's got to be tough for Zach. I mean, he's probably doing labels like crazy. And we
I
hope.
remember those days. Those are tough.
We
Those
are
days
really
are tough.
hoping that this 35th annual public exhibition will be our biggest show. We want to really push to get as many new people and then as many of the old people that were in there originally. And there's a number of deceased ones. We've got a lot in our collection, but we'd like to remember them because there were many people
Beautiful
over the
pieces.
years that really made it
But
what
I
it is.
think that the more people that we can put in of new artists, better than the deceased. I want to make.
Oh yeah,
I think we should make room
both.
for.
Sure, we don't want to. It's not.
You don't want to take up room with deceased artists when you can have new artists. come in.
Right. But I think
Here, we're
we
gonna
want
put
both.
10 people up on the wall, and you're a new art. Oops, sorry.
Well, I'd like to.
I know what you're saying, though.
And just to have a tag. This person was in the original show.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh yeah. Oh, the original show. Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah. We didn't. I did publish the list of the first members in the first show, and there were 27 artists. So that was. I mean, at the time we didn't know better, but we had fun, and it was just Seat of the Pants Productions at the time, and no one really gave us any longevity that we would make it, and we were just too stupid to realize it. And,
Well, I think one of the things that really has helped you and brought you to this point was making the decision to go ahead and try to buy the church.
We're
I mean,
almost
you
there.
really secured your future there. Ownership provides you don't have to move. You're steps away from paying the mortgage off, and if you hadn't made that move, who knows what would happen.
It came down to we were renting from Richard Kellaway, who was a reverend of the Unitarian Church. The church was set to be knocked down. There was going to be a parking lot. He bought it, and he had talked to us before he bought it.
And he wasn't taking care of it either.
We were on Spring Street, and we had our original space, and then we took over the space next door. So we had two galleries next to each other, and we were paying maybe about $800 a month for the two of them. And then for like $700 the gallery, the church was, Reverend Calloway said, so, okay. But I mean, it was 3 months of hard work to get the doors open so we could have that first event. It needed everything work-wise, but we in 3 months we had the place open. We're having shows. I mean, the basement wasn't done. It needed a lot of work, but we did the bare minimum and then with all members doing 90% of the work. We had electricians, plumbers we'd have to hire, but the rest was just like us. So it was okay. Let's get the paint out and roll, and so it was pretty exciting then. And we rented it for several years. The steeple was starting to fall off. Parts of it were falling in the street, the railings. So work had to be done on it. Reverend Calloway was going to raise our rent just because, we're going to need to spend a lot of money on this steeple. And we sort of had talked about it. It's like the rent it was going to go up to $1,000. And then we have to heat the building and everything, electrical, everything and then back then, that was when you mailed postcards. So you had not printing a postcard.
$1,000 back then was unheard of.
And so we knew what he paid for it, and we added a bit, what he had put into it, and added a bit to it and made him an offer to buy it. And he said, sure. And we finally, after a bit of a while, convinced the bank to let us do it and financed us, and we just have been going at it ever since. I mean, it's really, we don't have the opportunity
They
to
said
stop.
we'd never make it.
Right, and here you are.
It's like we're
There were people who said, you'll never make it.
Yeah. Where are they now?
Yeah.
Right, where are they now?
but
Scratching their heads.
That's right. Tell me a little bit more about the capital campaign that you guys mentioned earlier.
Well, the capital
That's his
campaign
baby.
is figured. We had done one around when we bought the building. We needed to raise money to restore the steeple and paint the building and all the other projects that we were doing. And we were able to raise enough to keep things going. So but we still need a roof and all the other things that went along with it. But we had, that was probably 15 years ago at least that we had the capital campaign. So we said, well, this, now that it's coming into our 35th year, we do have a couple things just that we still have to finish, the exterior of the building, some electrical work on the inside. And so it's like, well, this is a perfect opportunity for the capital campaign.
Yeah.
And, with the target, if we can get this, get new members,
And hopefully pay off the mortgage.
and then, yes, we'd love that.
Wouldn't
The
that be
final
beautiful?
goal is to pay off the mortgage. I think we're mortgage.
Maggage.
The maggage.
Okay.
The maggage with
Well,
the
I-
You
baggage.
call it what you would
I-
like. I call it maggage.
Baggage.
I think if we keep paying it as we are now, we can pay it off in 5 years. But we would really love to do it. Next year for our 35th birthday is to actually say, yeah.
That's when we
paid-
get a big old cake.
And then we get a big old cake and it's like you have to pat yourself on the back for what we've been through and then pay it off to actually have all the work done and then Well, we
It's
own
a
this.
great place, and I think a bunch of young hippies did a pretty damn good job.
Hell yeah.
Now we're old hippies.
Hey, but you're still doing a great job,
Well,
right?
And
yeah, I'd say so.
In the capital campaign, so this year you have a few events to help raise funds. for
the Gong
campaign.
Show was the first one.
Mhm.
We've got we're planning on a supper theater event
Yeah, that's on, that's the
in
murder mystery
October.
thing.
Yeah, the
on
murder
October
mystery.
26th.
That sounds fantastic.
That's going to be a
guess,
great time, yeah. That's going to be right in the main, the main gallery, right? at
Yeah,
Garrick's?
yeah, and I think
I can't wait to hear how that goes.
Yeah.
we're gonna do a patron drive,
Excellent.
membership drive. I mean, we can really try and connect more to the public, get more
Yeah.
people involved, more events. I think we are working with the younger people with the gay and lesbian organizations are
Mhm.
doing events there, and so it's
It's very important. We have to involve the whole, and we always have involved the whole community.
Mhm.
We're all about the community.
Mm.
Who was it? Everett Hoagland, one of the, I think you know who Everett Hoagland is.
Yeah.
He always used to come into the gallery and he'd put his arms out and he'd boom, Gallery X is the people's gallery. And I used to love it when he'd say that because, it really is.
It really is. Yeah.
It really is.
It really is. It doesn't stick to any one genre,
No,
any one medium,
it is the people's gallery.
any one discipline. It's, yeah.
It's for
and
everybody.
everyone, yeah, and that, I think that's what really feeds that place as far as patrons, members go, is
Yeah.
it has that appeal to it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
it's
And
definitely.
it made me laugh when he said that because I was like, damn, he's right. But just the way he boomed it and stuff was so dramatic. I was,
Yeah.
But he's right, though,
Well, I think we're like a galleries often, artists, they're sort of like doing their own thing or
Mhm.
whatever. I think we come more at it like a team.
Yeah.
I think we're all okay. There's a show,
Mhm.
and we're all in it, and we want it to all. We all want it to look good for all of us,
Mhm.
and I think so. It's a collaborative in the truest sense of the word. That
Mhm.
if we are, for us to succeed, we all need to succeed. It's
Very true.
and giving encouragement to students and
Mhm.
the younger people or people, just anyone that really wants to learn.
Mm.
They can come there and talk to someone, or look at a Milton Brightman painting, how he does his skies, it's how does he do that, and you learn by looking and
Mhm.
Looking, talking to other artists, comparing work, get other artists' point of view. People are willing to talk to you,
Mm.
whether it's their art or not.
and it's
Very
know.
true.
and it's not just like visual art. I mean, we have musicians and comedians and there's so many
Poetry.
spoken word poetry, and
yeah.
it's there's activity for everyone, and I think we're like with the Gallery X Unplugged is a great opportunity for people to showcase their work, but and there's
Yeah.
the different bands that play, and
I mean, to the point now where I've helped book, acts for the ahas and the openings, and
Yeah.
now it's to the point where musicians are reaching out to me to
I think
see
it's wonderful.
if we have anything at the gallery. So it's becoming
Yes.
a place where, people want to do events, musicians want to play it, and Zach and I were touching upon that. With the pandemic, you see a lot of people who weren't artists who became artists, people
Yeah.
who thought about it, jumped into it, and we touched upon how there's almost like a renaissance going on.
Yeah.
And with Gallery X, he talked about the membership in the last 4 years. It went from 20 to 30 to almost 90 people.
Isn't it phenomenal?
Yeah, it's great, and I think it's all these factors, that are
Yeah.
contributing to it. And yeah, you mentioned the fresh new blood,
and we want more too. 90, we
Right.
want 200.
and last year, we had that. No, I'm sorry, this year, for Haven, New Bedford, Dartmouth High, participating all together in the show for the high
fantastic.
schools. That's going to help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, with what's happened at the Star Store, I mean, it was a punch in the stomach to all the artists in the area. I mean,
Yeah, so for anyone who doesn't know, Chuck, can you just explain a little bit?
well, the Star Store, UMass Dartmouth, was in the Star Store, which is an old department store downtown New Bedford, and it was converted into fine arts studios, ceramics, and they were there. Well, geez, we were right across the street when we first opened, and
Really?
and that the building was empty for probably 15, 20 years, and we were calling the police because people were stealing the copper, the flashing for the building.
Oh, okay.
And in parts of the terracotta where the water would get in, it would freeze and it'd break off. So it was chunks of the building were falling into the street.
Wow.
So, and I called City Hall one day about it, like it's and they came down and looked, and then all of a sudden they put a boarded up around the building, and it was like, oh, good, finally they're going to do something for the building. But it turned out they just left it for probably 2 years, and finally they restored the building, and it was just like, okay, we've got this vitality, we've got students, and around that time too, it was New Bedford had an awful reputation in UMass Dartmouth, and that students would graduate and get their degree and leave the area. That there wasn't anything to really for them to stick around here, and that's changed. You know, the artists, all the galleries, the mills that our artists are working.
Yeah.
You know, taking over. It's New Bedford is an art city. When we started, you couldn't call New Bedford an art city. It was. I mean, it was, after Big Dan's, and there was
well, everything was boarded up and papered up downtown. It was terrible.
It was
there
bad.
was just
You know,
bars and
80s.
banks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
That was,
remember.
70s.
Yeah, it was bleak.
It was bleak, and I mean, we saw it here. Second Street Art Exchange. We enjoyed the cheap space. There was a lot of empty mill space. We're great for artists. We can get in there and we can have our rock and roll bands, make noise, make art. So it was a good spot to start. And we've always been excited when a new galleries open up. It's like it's not competition for us. It's good for the whole city. To have art. Everywhere. I really hope that with the Star Store that it doesn't affect the businesses that are really struggling down there, have been paying their bills, and just not having that influx of students coming in and keeping the businesses
And that
healthy
building,
and going.
That CDPA program and building, that was available. I'm sorry. That was open for how long? In the CDPA building, College of Visual Performing Arts building, how long do you think that was open for?
I'm gonna say they didn't open till after we had moved to Gallery X. So I'm gonna say around 2000.
Yeah.
And 2001 is when they started. I think the art museum started maybe shortly after we moved into the gallery. So I'm gonna say 96 or 97.
Oh, okay.
Was when the art museum started. We had done a show with AS220 in Providence.
Okay.
We had a show in Providence of New Bedford, Gallery X artists, and then we invited their artists to show in our gallery downtown, and which was very successful and a lot of fun. And one of the things they were doing, they had a gallery night in Providence, and they were trying to think of what we could do to bring people downtown at the time. And we asked, what the hell's his name, Ramon or the director at the time. But he brought in all the information that they had, what they were doing in Providence, and there was a meeting at the art museum on that, and sort of took that there, and they liked the idea of an art night in New Bedford, and Providence, I think they were the third Thursday of the month, so New Bedford, we took the second Tuesday of the month, and that's how AHA started.
Huh.
So it was
Aha.
AHA was right at the beginning, and I think that's been a successful motivator and bringing people downtown. I'd like to see it have a couple more nights where the traffic meters are free.
They can be relentless.
They can, I wish they had the guys that were the meter people fixing the potholes. Those are really good. They're hard workers. They're giving out tickets. If we had the same sort of ambition in fixing potholes, that would be a lot nicer.
Carry some gravel in a bag and lay it down and cover some holes, right?
But
so the CDPA building. So that recently. Was it last fall, right? August of 2023, it was announced that UMass wouldn't be renewing the lease on the building.
And it was like 2 months notice to the
2 months
student.
notice. Kids had to get shuffled out of there, and they set them up where? The old Circuit City in Dartmouth, right?
Yeah, the Bed Bath and Beyond.
The Bed Bath and Beyond.
That sounds kind of like a nightmare right off.
Yeah, that was really that was so unfortunate, and there was a lot of people standing around saying, "What happened?"
Yeah, I mean they didn't leave; they ran out of town.
They ran out of town.
They ran, and a lot of the equipment is sitting in semis, tractor trailers. It's I'm talking like a dreamer. I was involved with the group trying to save the Orpheum.
Oh, yeah.
The Orpheum and the Star Store, both designed by the same architect, Louis Destremps. The Orpheum opened in 1912, and the Star Store, I believe, the year after that.
Really?
And so it would be great. I mean, the Star Store is basically finished. The work is done. It was operating for years. I mean, wouldn't want to change that, but it would be great. Like, you could open up a college, visual and performing arts, still using the Star Store, but then you've got the Orpheum. Have visual and performing arts. It's a theater, and it's a theater. People talk, we could turn it into apartment building. It's like there's no windows inside the theater. There's wings on these. So you're not going to have apartments. I mean, it's a theater. It's a grand theater.
Yeah.
But it would be great if there was a school that focused on restoration, like theater restoration, decorative arts. And also all the theater arts of performing and everything in the same building, sort of, and could really be a great way to with the train coming in, we've got the Zeiterian Theater, we've got the First Baptist Church Steeple Playhouse. I mean, we could be a theater center.
Yeah.
With the train coming in, people, could come see shows, come see things, and there's a lot of very talented people that have experience with restoration, and how to restore damaged plaster or woodwork or whatever, decorative painting. So much that people could learn that could be used in everyday life, but in restoring a lot of the New Bedford buildings and could really make the whole thing vital, everything that we're doing. I mean, just having an empty Star Store, next to the Zeiterian is not helping it's like a missing tooth,
Yeah.
And right in the center of town, it would be, without getting too crazy and reinventing the wheel, let's just make sure that roof isn't leaking.
Right.
Because I don't know if you've seen pictures of all the smokestacks from the ceramics departments that are just, there's no killed underneath it. What are those? What that's got to be leaking in there, and if once it starts leaking, and if nothing's done about it. I'd really like to get in there and just to see what happened. How did they leave it? But
I often have thought along the same lines. Yeah, it's always been kind of a dream of mine. I always thought New Bedford could use a performing arts school of some kind because of all the, we have visual artists galore, but I mean, theater and music in this area is just overabundant.
It's always been there, and just an opportunity to showcase it. And we've got. I mean, it would be great. And if you think about it, we've got Steeple Playhouse and the Zeiterian, and I think they're planning on the Cushion Avenue fixing the Center Theater and a different. It's like with the train coming in. It's like.
Yeah.
People, reason of people to come to New Bedford. I mean, and even a reason for people from the Vineyard to want to come here, take the ferry over. We'll go see a show in the theater. They don't have that there.
Right.
And I think as a collaborative between all these groups, I mean, they don't have to be competing. I mean, it's good to look at what's going on in New Bedford. Or let's go see a show tonight. No, I don't like that show. Oh, that show sounds, choices.
You're right.
It's like...
Yeah, we need, you look at cities close by like Providence, which gets all kinds of recognition for the Renaissance they've experienced. You've got PPAC, you've got the Vet, a number of different theaters that people can go to and see productions like that.
Yes.
We just really have the Z if you want anything over 1,000 people.
And
we need something else.
I think one of the things that we fought against, or had to fight against, with trying to save the Orpheum, was people were like, "Oh, you're just doing it to screw the Zeiterian." It's like it's like, "Oh yeah, you're doing it to, by doing that you're gonna."
Yeah.
And it's like, no, I think it's
no. Each could feed off each other.
Yeah.
There's some things one could do that the other might not be able to do.
Yeah.
But that's, like you said, that's short-sightedness or short-mindedness.
Right. I think people want to do that. Like, I mean, I know there's, it would be competing for money, but that's good competing for money because more money would become
more money
available.
would come in, right, exactly.
Like, they got 2 theaters and
it would work out in the long run.
It really would.
And I think like, you get lazy if you're the only one.
Yes.
We're just going to do it our way, and this with no competition.
Right. And you're kind of selling the public short if that's all you're offering them. Yeah, complacency. Tell me a little bit about you two, if you don't mind. We've talked a lot about the gallery and the history, but you two are, at least in my opinion, and I know with some other people, you two are considered to be kind of the power couple of the artistic community in New Bedford and have been for a long time, And, hey, I'm saying it the way it is,
I've heard that term before.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, for myself, my wife, other people, coming into this realm. I mentioned at the beginning, you guys both welcomed us with open arms, but there's an admiration that people have for you guys, the way you work together, what you've done for the community, and not to get too personal, I mean, maybe just tell us a little bit how you met, if you don't mind.
That's a fun one.
Okay.
Back when I was 28 years old, I went to my first Gallery X opening raffle, and I saw this guy, and he was up on the stage, and he's raffling off stuff. He's already a mess. His hair's disheveled, he's sweaty, and you can tell he's already smoked a lot of pot and drank a lot of beer, and he's carrying on, and I looked at him, I went, oh God, that's it, that's the one.
That's the guy.
But I'm already married to someone else 5 years, and I had already known that I had made a mistake. I was young, but hung in there. Well, years down the road, I got divorced, I'd never forgotten Chuck
Mm-hmm.
that whole time. I'd always had a crush on him. That never went away. Well, I ended up moving in diagonal from him upstairs.
Oh.
Ooh.
That's convenient.
Well, I'll be damned. It only took me about 7 months. And I got him.
7 months, and then you got him, huh?
Hey, whatever Susie wants, she tries to get. This time she managed.
You got it.
So yeah, that's and there's actually a photograph that was given to Chuck of that actual night, the first night I saw Chuck,
Really?
and we're back to back
Oh,
at that
wow.
gathering.
Yeah, there was the first Gallery X art raffle,
The very first one, huh?
and John Robson took the photo,
Uh-huh.
and Susie,
I was
it's
there with
me,
my mom.
there's a group of us sort of in the foreground, and there are people in the in the back, and Susie said, "Hey, that's my mom, right? Hey, that's me." She's in the background in the photo behind me.
Yeah.
So it was
Isn't that funny?
Yeah, so we have that framed up. And
That's great.
Yeah.
It's serendipitous, I guess, was the perfect
that's
word,
the
huh?
perfect word for it.
And Chuck, did you know that she kind of had a thing for you? Was it
What?
known?
No,
Were you just too
no.
high and drunk on beers?
Well,
No, I would never let
I
on
think
because
I-
I was married, you know.
Oh, yes, that's right.
So,
But it was 1 year before I moved in. I said to him at one of his parties that, hey, I kind of like you, you want to get together, maybe go out for a coffee or a beer or something. Oh my God. When Chuck gets nervous, the head starts rolling. He doesn't know what to do. He's all, well, I kind of think of you like a little sister. And I said, oh, Jesus Christ. I said, you could say anything to me. That's like really incestuous. Did you have to? I said, no, not little sister. Okay, bestest friend. How's that? I said, that's better. So I go back to my girlfriends, and they said, well, what do you say? I said, little sister. They're all, oh, he's an ass. I gave that up until a year later when I moved into the house, and then
Yeah.
I said, oh, he is so done. He's so done this time.
7 months. It only took 7 months, huh?
7 months.
Wow. And how long have you guys been together now?
Since we got married in 2006, 2003.
Wow.
So-
21 years.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
poor bastard.
Wow.
Yeah, thank
You're a
you.
lucky bastard.
I think so.
Right. I think you're both lucky
Yeah,
in many respects, right?
yeah.
And we're lucky that I feel, not to blow too much smoke, but really blessed to have met you guys. And
Oh,
it's
we're
funny.
blessed to meet you guys too.
yes,
Thanks.
and
We love you and Christine
really
very
love
much.
you
Thank you
guys.
so much.
With you and Christine, the
Yeah,
galleries,
you're the
what you've
best.
done to the gallery.
Oh,
You're and then you're following your daughter. She's just,
Thank you, man.
she's quite incredible, and just a great job of parenting,
Thank you.
and it's great having people like you that we can count on, we can lean on. That sort of get the idea. Let's just keep
People
pushing.
like you are what we need
Well,
to
yeah,
keep
we
the
gotta-
gallery going.
We got
The
well.
music scene.
We took our cues from you,
There it is.
and I mean, it's
Thank you.
and it's a home. It's a place that we were looking
Yeah.
for. We didn't, I don't want to get emotional, but we didn't really know.
No, well, you know. But what a great compliment to us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That means a lot to us.
You really,
does,
not
yeah.
just for us, but I know for other artists, and as an artist, we deal with sensitivity, and it's difficult to bare our souls and show our works, but I don't know what's wrong with me. You guys really made a home for us and many others, so thank you.
Glad to
Thank
have you.
Yeah, it's quite awesome. And that's why, I know for me, that's why, I do what I do with the gallery, because it's personal, It's
Yeah.
here, so thank you. And thank you for coming out today and
Thank you for having
doing
us.
this. So ideally, in an ideal world, what's the end game for Gallery X? Is it free of debt and more of an open door? Like Zach mentioned how it's interesting how membership fees have decreased over the years.
Yeah.
Because we've been able to do so well. And, we talked about, like, he's like, maybe we can get it down to the point. So is that something that you guys,
Well, when we started, it was $25 a month.
$25
The first, that didn't last
Had
very
to get
long.
it going,
But as we start, and it's gone down ever since.
That's great. I mean, do you guys want to get it to the point where it can be almost free for people? What is...
I
gotta
think
keep the doors open. You gotta pay
we have
the
to pay
bills.
Zach. We have to pay
We
Zach.
have to pay back Zach, and we have to pay the utilities.
Is it, so how about, is it something that you want to be self-sustainable, where...
Yeah,
I think that would work.
I'd love to see,
But I mean, that would have to be a whole,
and I see that as a starting place. I
board
see.
thing
I
to
see-
decide.
It seems like it's on that way, though. It seems
Yeah, I
like we're
think
going
so.
there.
I think that, if we pay off our mortgage, I think there's other opportunities, buildings, that
There's
could
so much
really
that can be done.
done
betterment.
to promote the arts,
The betterment of the arts and people.
and I think we're just taking sort of the first step. I think we're sort of shocked because we're artist owned, artist run,
Right.
and so we don't have to come up with a proposal to take to a committee or take to the mayor. We don't have a higher crew
Which
that
is nice.
tells us
Thank
what
God
to
for
do.
that.
We're able to do what as artists we want to
wouldn't
do.
get anywhere.
And so I think we definitely want to keep that up, and I think there's other opportunities. I know I'm getting older and should be slowing down, but I think our best times are ahead of us.
Yeah.
And I think people are noticing. Wow, those craggle-headed teepee dwellers are still hanging in there.
Yeah, and making noise,
Or as we used to call ourselves, the red-headed stepchildren up the hill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're having temper tantrums and we're not going to stop.
There's a saying, nobody does what we do, and nobody does it better. Right?
Damn right.
And, so, non-conforming, all-inclusive, you don't get the...
Well, we were all drug dealers up the hill, We started off as, being known as drug dealers and hippies.
Yeah. Oh, we make all our
With a
money
city-
selling drugs.
We make all our money selling drugs.
No, we spend all our money smoking dope.
Oh, that too.
With a city
Well,
full
now
of-
we can do it legally, so.
Yeah, that's right. Now they have nothing to say, although they keep trying to,
Having edible parties now.
right? Hey, it's safer,
Yeah, sure.
How many people are getting in car accidents after a party like that,
True.
Yeah.
So,
So true.
yeah.
And
Well, I want to thank you two for coming in.
Well, thank you for
Well,
having
thank
us,
you.
For
Sean.
taking the time to, the
It was
trek
fun.
down here. It was fun. And I am Sean FitzGerald, your host. And it was great having Chuck and Sue Hauck in here today. And we look forward to seeing them again soon. The next Capital Campaign event is at the Gallery X Music Fest on September 28th.
well, the music, and I think there's going to be part of it is the 35th annual exhibition is part of the Capital
That's right.
campaign. Hopefully we'll have more information. Zach's working on the outline of that, and but we're going to open memberships and.
Facebook.
Yeah, check the Facebook page, Gallery X.
And-
When is the opener for the public exhibition?
It's August 3rd from 5 to 8 p.m. There's also opening for AHA Night, and there's going to be a closing reception. We're not sure. We're thinking of it being sort of a dog fest.
Okay.
Maybe some dancing dog combination music, hot dogs, and
Nice.
tofu dogs or whatever outside.
Okay.
Just sort of end of August. And sort of a little party for people we're hoping with that much work that we get a lot of people come that day and take their work home, so we don't have to store it.
Hold on to it, yeah.
That's the reason. Closing parties are good for that. Here you go.
Here you go, take your
Have a
stuff.
hot dog and take your
And bring,
stuff
and
off.
bring your stuff in for the next show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
So
So we have that capital campaign. We've got the public exhibition, the Gallery X Music Fest, the Murder Mystery on October 26th. And the future is limitless, right?
yeah, I think
Limitless.
so. And we're with monthly shows. I think, and then September comes
Infinito.
our schedule. We're putting together our schedule for next year, and I think there's been a number of fun things talked about. So it's going to be another exciting year,
Excellent.
and
The 36th year.
that'll be our
Right.
36th year. Yeah, we start. It's our 35th public hanging or public exhibition.
Right. 35th.
35th, and that's the beginning of our 35th year.
I see.
And then and then August we've been around for 35 whole
35
years. That'll be
years.
our birthday
I
or
see.
anniversary. It's confusing, and I can.
Are you going to wear a birthday suit for the birthday, Chuck?
Well, I always wear my birthday suit, but I try and cover it up most of the time.
You going to wear saran wrap pants, maybe?
we
I'll let you borrow mine if you'd like.
we did have a poet one time that wore saran wrap.
I'm glad I wasn't there for that.
Yeah, I think I was. I saw the after effects of it. I think it was.
Okay.
Thank God there were no pictures.
Well, folks, we hope you enjoyed our session with
Very
Chuck and
much.
Sue Hauck.
We did.
I enjoyed it. It was great. Thank you so much, guys, for coming in.
Thank you, sir.
All right. And we will see, or we will listen and speak with you folks at another time. Have a great day.
You have been listening to the South Coast Artist Index Gallery X series. This series and the documentation project was made possible by ArtNet and Wicked Cool Places, funded by the City of New Bedford through the American Rescue Plan Awards and its Arts, Culture, and Tourism Fund, and is facilitated by New Bedford Creative at the NBEDC.